excellent audience. So,
Yes.
all right, Miss Maria.
All right, Miss Rick, can you just tell us a little bit, tell the audience just a little bit about who you are and what you do? Let's set the tone.
Okay, sure. So I'm an SBA lender, a commercial lender with a specialty in making SBA guaranteed loans, and have been doing this for quite a number of years. I think I started focusing specifically on SBA loans probably in around 2007. So had a good while specializing in this field, but I've done all sorts of kind of lending either to nonprofits and companies, large and small, but my heart is really with small businesses. I love to, and have always loved helping a small business to get started, to provide that financing, to be invited to the grand opening, and sort of share in the excitement of, seeing a business owner's dream take off and come to fruition. And so I kind of see myself as being an aid in people's dreams, to all the entrepreneurs that I get to work with really around the country, because I'm fortunate to work with a bank that makes SBA loans nationally. So that's sort of a nutshell, in a nutshell.
Awesome, awesome. So our first question on tonight is, what is an SBA loan?
That's actually a great question, believe it or not, because a lot of people think that it's a loan that's made by the Small Business Administration in the way that the disaster relief loans that we've seen since the pandemic, or like the EIDL, where there were funds appropriated specifically for the SBA to loan to small businesses. But traditionally, when we're talking about SBA loans, we're talking about loans made by a bank or other lender that are guaranteed in part by the SBA. So the SBA will give a guarantee to the bank of, let's say, 75%, 85%. Some programs it's 50% of the loan amount, that just gives the bank some additional reassurance that if, in the worst case scenario, something goes wrong and the loan defaults, then they don't take a loss of the full amount, because, 75% of it is covered. So their loss would be 25% of the total that's lent. So it's a commercial loan, just with a government guarantee to the bank supporting it.
Wow. So 75% is guaranteed by SBA to a bank. Now, is that any bank? What does that bank, what type of bank, or what banks provide SBA lending?
Yeah, so it has most any banks could, whether it's community bank or a large regional or a national bank, can participate in the SBA loan program. They've got to, have a demonstration that they have sound lending practices and that sort of thing. So most any bank can participate and do an SBA loan. But the SBA does have a designation that it gives to certain banks, which is the preferred lender designation. And to have that designation, where the SBA has vetted the bank, its underwriting policies, the people making the loan decision, the credit department, and shown that, and have found that that particular bank has sound lending practices, has experience making SBA loans in accordance with the SBA program requirements, and and doesn't deviate from those, and things of that nature. That's something that you have to recertify every so often. For most programs, it's an annual recertification to keep that preferred lender designation. And when you have it, it allows you to make a loan decision on behalf of the SBA, rather than you evaluating a loan in-house and then sending it to the SBA for them to review and make the decision. So when you're preferred lenders, we are at First Business Bank, you're able to skip that extra step.
Okay. And we're going to let you tell them all about your bank at the end, because I know you guys actually approved us a while back for SBA loan. So I want people to know that they can contact you definitely. But let me ask you this: what about the small commercial banks that are in our towns? Do they have SBA loans?
Yeah, many do. Not every bank chooses to participate, but sure, a small community bank can do an SBA loan. Absolutely. Whether or not they have a preferred lender designation, they can participate in the program as long as they follow the program requirements, the SOP that the SBA puts out.
But definitely the large lenders like Wells Fargo and Bank of America, they should definitely have an SBA component.
Yeah, I mean, most of the larger banks definitely would. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so just to clarify, you guys, because I'm learning something tonight too. So these are banks that have qualified to be a SBA lender. And it can be your community bank. It can most likely be the larger banks that we know, Wells Fargo, Bank of America. Miss Maria is going to tell you about her bank in the end of the day. We have used her. So just because you're not in her particular city or state, she can still help you. But how can individuals apply for an SBA loan? What do they need to do?
So, each bank is going to have its own lending process. I mean, but for the most part, you'll have certain information that you're going to need to give. So, tax returns for the business for the most recent 3 years. So right now, 2019 through 2021. Personal tax returns for that same period. And of course, if it's a startup business, then there would be no business tax returns. So just those personal returns. There's a personal financial statement form that's required. And typically profit and loss projections, income statement projections are going to be part of the items that you've got to submit, because SBA loans, the primary criteria for loan approval is an assessment of the cash flow, either a historical cash flow or the projected cash flow of the business. And so those projections come into play. I would say you also want to expect to have to provide a business plan. Even if not a full-blown one, if you're an existing business that's been operating, certainly something that gives kind of an overview of who runs the company, what services are provided, things like that, because there's a lot of information that's typically in a business plan that's going to answer a lot of the questions that an SBA lender might have around eligibility. Because in addition to the SBA program having certain requirements, as I said, around cash flow, let's say, there are eligibility requirements. And a lot of times the business plan is going to tell us if the business meets those. So that's one of the reasons that you'll see those acquired. And, and the bank may have its own application form to go with it. But those are the other documents that you can expect to have to submit with whatever application form the bank has.
Now, you said something that was very, very interesting. So if someone is just starting their business, they can get an SBA loan to start their business.
Yeah, the SBA loan program is open for startups. What I will say is that the SBA does leave that decision to individual lenders as to whether or not they will make a loan to a startup. So the SBA program is certainly fine with it. It's a matter of whether or not the lender will make a loan to a startup business, with the SBA's guarantee.
Okay, I'm going to do a couple of questions from because they've been so patient. You guys have been so patient working with us tonight. We appreciate it. So I'm going to shoot a couple of questions from some of our viewers. One of the question is a personal guarantee required for an SBA loan?
Yes, if you have 20% or more ownership of the business, that would be the borrower. So yes, that is something to expect. If your ownership percentage is under 20%, then it's not, automatically a requirement. That would be up to the particular lender. But if it's 20% or more of that company that you own, then yes, your personal guarantee would be required.
Okay. Another question is, when I purchase my business through the SBA, Will the SBA allow me to bring the required 10% down payment as a loan from another financial institution?
No.
No.
So that minimum 10%, and I'm glad that question came, because was one of the good things that people, do tend to know, that is that you can have as little as 10% in to get your business started and finance up to 90%. It is a minimum of 10%, and it must not be from borrowed funds. It has to be funds from from your own savings. It could be, a part of gift. It could, and I guess the one exception I would say to the whole prohibition against borrowed funds is, for example, if you happen to have a home equity line of credit, let's say on your house, with enough funds available to meet that minimum 10%, then you could use the home equity line of credit. So technically, in that sense, those funds are borrowed, but that's okay. But you couldn't just go and, let's say, apply somewhere else, get a personal loan for this amount, and then use that to be your 10% injection. So it's a great question. It is the expectation that the borrower have some skin in the game, and that they have maybe put some savings or something in it, since 90% of the risk is being borne by the lender.
Okay. Great question. We have another question here. Just can you go up just a little bit for me here? Can you apply for more than one SBA loan at a time? That's a question I might ask.
Trying to do a lot of things.
Yeah, so theoretically, yes, you could. I don't know why you would want to, but theoretically you could. I mean, the SBA, loan, the SBA allows for up to the maximum 5 million to one borrower, so you can have multiple SBA loans. If you are doing them at the same, I mean, yeah. So yes, you certainly could. Most folks, and I tend, when I talk to business owners, I tend to recommend that maybe you want to do this all at one time if you have multiple needs. And since in most cases the loan can be used for even multiple projects, why not go through the process just once rather than having to go through it? But technically, yes, you could.
Okay. And I'm going to do one more, and then we're going to get back to our questions. It says, this is someone that came in late. She said, can you please tell her again, what is a SBA loan?
Sure. So it's a loan made by a commercial bank, typically, that is guaranteed, that a percentage of it is guaranteed by the SBA, by the Small Business Administration. And it's a guarantee to the bank, not to the individual. It doesn't serve as collateral. It's just, basically says for the bank that in the event of default, the bank would not take the full amount of the loss. The guarantee could be activated and take only a portion of the loss, but it's not a repayment guarantee or anything like that. It just comes into play to minimize the final, amount that a bank may lose in the event of default.
So this should be favorable, actually, to banks, because it decreased their risk of lending.
Absolutely. And that's the exact intention of it. Because any loan carries with it a certain amount of risk, and it's all about looking at, okay, how do we mitigate this risk? And so that's why maybe there'll be collateral requirements, or there'll be this or that. Well, if you have the guarantee there, then now you're worrying about mitigating maybe a smaller amount. It's not as huge I mean, no bank wants to lose money. No individual wants to lose money. But if you're, let's say you're looking at $1 million loan, if you, could understand that, well, the most you could actually lose if you do everything according to the SBA program's requirements is $250,000. That's an easier pill to swallow. It's easier to get comfortable with that than, the risk of losing a full $1 million.
Yeah. So, viewers, we want you guys to know tonight about this SBA lending, that there's SBA loans out there, that the banks have them. Ms. Maria just told us the types of banks that have them. This is a commercial loan that is where SBA actually guarantees up to 75% of the loan to the bank. So this would make the bank, this would be favorable for a bank to lend to you because they have someone else backing the loan up to 7%. Now, Maria, I know when we were approved for our loans, the loan that we had with you, a couple of things that we like. We like that it was low interest, and it was we had a very nice long length of time to pay it back. Can you talk a little bit about that? Some of the benefits of getting an SBA loan.
Yeah, I think that so the really the key benefits that as you compare an SBA guaranteed loan to a traditional commercial loan are, number one. So let's talk about a real estate purchase, right? Um, Typically for a conventional loan, you would probably expect to have to put in maybe 25% or so toward that, 20 to 25% of your funds toward the purchase, and the bank would finance the rest. With an SBA loan program, as we said earlier, you could end up putting in as little as 10% and have the bank finance 90% of the total. Customarily with a traditional commercial loan, because of interest rate risk, you're normally going to see a loan term of maybe 5 years. You may see a longer amortization period, but if you have, let's say, a 20 or even a 25-year amortization period, your term is still 5 years on a conventional loan. So when 5 years is up, there's this big balloon payment that you've got to refinance or pay off or something. Conversely, on the SBA loan, you can have a straight 25-year term, fully amortizing. So no balloon payment to worry about, very similar to a home mortgage for 30 years. In this case, you have it for 25 years. So if you're able to make this large purchase of real estate, but have the payments spread over a much longer period of time. So it's certainly easier for a newer business, or it's less of a hit to the business's cash flow, right? You have more funds left over to spend on other things by having this lower payment requirement. So those are kind of the really the primary benefits for it. And also the prepayment penalty that there exists on a loan for real estate is only there for the first 3 years. There's a declining penalty in years 1 through 3 if you use an SBA loan to purchase real estate. And then for the remainder of the 25-year term, no prepayment penalty. So if you wanted to pay more toward interest or pay it sooner or pay it off before then, you can do that without penalty.
Wow. Okay. Let's see what we have from our audience. Let's see. Explain business credit in reference to getting a SBA loan.
So for SBA loans of under 350,000, there is a business credit score that that gets calculated. There's a system where information basically gets fed into the SBA, and they calculate a business credit score. And for loans that are 350,000 or under, there needs to be a certain score that you get for approval. And you'll bear with me, I'm trying to remember what it is. It may be, I can't remember this one, because we do loans over 350, so I don't run into that. For traditional, SBA loans over 350,000, most lenders, certainly we are rarely looking to evaluate a business credit score. We're much more concerned with the personal credit score of the owners of that business. So, and many cases, or I'd say probably the majority of cases, you don't see in the loan policy of a given bank doing an SBA loan that a business has to have a certain business credit score. You will see reference to personal scores, though.
And that is one of the questions. What is the ideal personal credit score for someone seeking a SBA loan?
Ideal, what's the highest you could get? Is 850, I think. I mean, that would be the ideal. The SBA,
what's realistic then?
Right. So that really is left to the individual lenders. The SBA doesn't have necessarily a specific minimum credit score that an individual owner has to have. There are certain levels at which it gets pretty problematic, but for the most part, that's left to the individual lenders. So I would say if you have a score in the neighborhood of 700 and up, you're in good shape. You can, and some lenders will allow you to be 680, like we do. I think I've heard of some that may allow 660 or 675 as a minimum score. A vast majority would be looking for a score of 700 or better. So I'd say if you to shoot for something, would be at least that.
Okay. Because someone wanted to know that they have to build their credit in order to get an SBA loan. So I think you just gave them some good numbers
Right.
that they should shoot for. Okay, we have a question here. It says, once the loan is made, what is the maximum grace period before the first payment is due?
So the first payment on an SBA loan is going to be due on the first of the month after 30 days have passed since loan closing. So, so typically on the first of the month, but there have to have been at least 30 days that have passed since closing. So what is today? The 28th. So if you've got, you closed on your SBA loan today, of course you wouldn't have a payment due on October 1st. It would be November 1st. But similarly, if you closed on a loan on September 2nd, your first payment would still be November 1st, because as of October 2nd is when you'd hit 30 days since closing, and it needs to be on the first of the month. That wasn't too confusing.
Gotcha.
First of the month after at least 30 days have passed since closing.
Okay. Someone wants to know, this is pretty, they're getting deep on us. They said, can a business seller add the business buyer to the business as a part owner for the sale purpose of refinancing the business to buy out the owner? Will the SBA allow such a sophisticated way of purchasing a business?
Okay, I think I followed it, but I want you to just read it one more time.
Can a biz seller add the biz buyer to the biz as a part owner for the sole purpose of refinancing the biz to buy out the owner?
No. So to all of that, no. So the SBA has it has a lot of rules around various transactions, but that type of transaction, business acquisition, or as the SBA refers to it, change of ownership, there are quite a few around that. So when if a loan is used to acquire a business, the seller can have no part of the business after that sale, no involvement. They're not on the loan, no, nothing. The loan is made entirely with the borrower, the buyer, and there needs to be a complete separation. Doesn't want to be the appearance that the seller can have any influence on the operation of the business after that change of ownership has occurred. In the beginning of the question that you asked, where, could a seller bring someone on into the business, well, obviously, sure, they can do that, but then to turn around and then let the seller, excuse me, let the person who's been brought into the business now buy the business, that wouldn't work, because once they bring them into the business, they're already part of the ownership. So they couldn't then, sort of sell it to themselves in effect. So that's why that was a no answer
Okay.
to that question. I could see why someone might want to, but that's where it would trip things up in terms of being eligible.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's see. Another question is, are you familiar with the SBA Community Advantage Loan, and does your bank participate?
I am familiar with the program. The Community Advantage program is one of those subset programs, and the SBA has quite a few of them that can be offered by different types of lenders, I guess is the easiest way to say that. So no, we don't offer the Community Advantage program. Those are generally offered by CDFIs. Those, oh gosh, they are Community Development Financial Institutions. I think that's what the CD stands for. They're typically smaller banks who will have that, small community banks who may have that designation. I'm drawing a blank as exactly what that acronym means, but they are able to offer that particular program, and other banks who don't have that designation cannot. Just in the same way that, the SBA offers microloans, has a microloan program, and only designated micro lenders can offer those. So like microloans, the Community Advantage program is specialized and limited to a certain type of lenders, not the traditional banks and lenders that do the more broad programs like the SBA 7A program and 504 program.
Okay. I'm glad you said that. We had someone on the show, I think she was on our second episode, Tanita McKnight, that's actually with the CDIF.
CDFI, okay.
CDFI. I keep mixing those up. With the CDFI. So if you guys want to go back and listen at that episode, and she's actually going to hopefully be at our conference, another save the date, April the 14th, 2023. We're going to be having our National Senior Care Industry Conference. It's going to be in Atlanta, and Tanita will be there. And hopefully we can get Maria there. I don't know. We'll keep our fingers crossed. But yeah, if you guys want to go back and watch that episode, she talked about what it looks like to get lending through their program, similar actually to what Maria is talking about here tonight, that credit score and having those financial documents that they need to see. Let me see, do we have another question? Okay, so Maria, what do they need to do to strengthen their chances of being approved for the loan?
Oh, that's a great question too. I always say you just want to be prepared. You don't, it's not like you wake up one day and say, oh, I'm going to apply for a loan. Let me go to the bank and do this. You really want it to be something that you're thoughtful about, and you sort of prepare ahead of time, because we talked about tax returns, right? 3 years of tax returns needing to be something that gets provided to the bank. So you want to make sure your tax returns, your financial statements really show your company in the best light. We always talk about often for tax purposes, right? A business owner may not necessarily want to show this huge amount of net income, and because you're going to be taxed on it. So you've got other expenses that are in there, or whatever the case, that the true picture of the operations of the business aren't necessarily captured there, and maybe that helps you from a tax payment standpoint, but it does not help you from a loan standpoint. So you do want to show net income, because that's where we're going to start our calculations of cash flow. And so a lot of times it's a matter of preparing. So do you have to take this distribution, or did you have to spend down, every penny as you approach the end of the year, or and to show zero and pay nothing, or should you show some net income? And that's not necessarily a quick fix that you can make, right at the end of the year. It's something to give some thought to and prepare. I think the other thing is, well, we talked about the personal credit, and again, no loan decision, is going to be based on the personal credit score of the business owner. I often have folks who will ask, well, I've got a such and such credit score, so what will be my rate, or won't I get this? But it's really, it's more about the business who's the borrower, but it is something that, we look at. So you certainly want to have your personal credit reflect well on you, because it is one of the factors. I would say another thing that's very important is to make sure that you, as you're meeting with your banker or whatever, that you are familiar with your numbers. You have some understanding of what story the tax returns or the financial statements are telling the viewer, the reader, um, to kind of explain, because these are numbers on a piece of paper, and they may tell the lender what happened, but they don't necessarily tell us why. So we've got to ask, oh, why this? Why did, why the increase this year, or why the decrease that this year in this particular category? And if you have, some familiarity to be able to sort of talk through a little bit, not as an accountant would, but to help us understand what we're seeing, then that's quite beneficial. And I'd say, I guess, the business plan is the other thing that that you can really focus on to strengthen your application for an SBA loan. A lot of times folks may have written a business plan just at the start of their business, or maybe they're not very fun things to write, right? We're busy doing other stuff, and who wants to write one? But it really, really can tell your story, in your own words. A lot of times in most lending institutions, you may not get to have a dialogue with everyone who may weigh in on your loan application. So it's important that your business plan speaks for you. And just as, a person who is maybe applying for a job may prepare a resume sort of for this kind of job they're going after, but a different one for this one. That's the same kind of concept to keep in mind for your business plan. You want to write it with the lender in mind. That's your target audience in this. So you want to make sure you're including information that is going to be relevant to the loan decision. You want to talk about, how you came up with these projections, why you charge this for your services, what the cash cycle is, how long does it take, between the time you provide a service and invoice till that actually turns into cash that comes in from collections of accounts receivable, things like that. Spending time on those things can really go a long way to help strengthen a loan application, because it is a good way to tell the business story.
So yeah, Maria. So a couple of things. I see where someone said that they may go through you. I know for us, we got approved for, I think it was $1 million. It might have been a little over that. But I would say this: what I loved about the process with you was that when we met you and told you about our vision, we didn't have those issues of worrying about us being women of color. We didn't have to worry about us being a small business.
Right.
It was really based on the facts, the things that you talked about. Did we have the credit score? Did we have the business plan? If we had all those things in place, you were ready to move forward. It took away all that other drama that sometimes we deal with when we're trying to get loans to start our business or grow our business. We have a question here. We actually help people start senior care businesses, right? And they want to know, is this a viable option for them when they're starting their senior care business? I was going to say yes, but I'm sure they want to hear it from you.
Is getting an SBA loan? Oh yeah, absolutely. SBA loans are probably the most frequent type of financing for starting up any business, but for starting a business, because they allow for multiple uses of loan proceeds. Because if you're starting a senior care business or another kind, you've got to either buy or maybe do some renovations to a property you're going to lease. So you've got some costs associated with that. You need some equipment, you need some supplies, you need all these things. And we talked about getting a 25-year term if your loan includes buying real estate. But if you are not buying real estate, but you're going to lease the space, then you're still looking at a pretty long term. You're looking at a 10-year term, which is another advantage to the SBA program, having 10 years to repay the loan rather than 3 or 5 if you went, just with a conventional process. So yes, there's a lot of risk associated with starting up a business from obviously from your end, but from a lender's end, there's no track record, right, to go on. So when we can use the SBA loan program to help mitigate that risk, then we're able to do more loans for startups. And so that's why that's predominantly the type of loan that's used.
Okay. These are the last two questions we're going to take. Let's see. Will the SBA, and I know I've asked you this question. Okay. Will SBA extend the loan for the real estate where the business will be operating, or will it just be for the business?
Oh no, definitely both. Definitely both.
Yeah. You guys like the real estate.
Yes. Yes,
Then,
the real estate and the business.
and then someone asked, do you guys do SBA pre-approve a business for a seller?
Yes, that's a great question. Because a lot of folks don't necessarily realize the sort of the main criteria we're looking at if someone presents a loan application to buy an existing business. We need to have 3 years of historical tax returns of that business that you want to buy. And so, because we're going to look at that historical cash flow and say, from what the company normally did, would that be able to support now this new SBA loan that the buyer wants? And so for a seller, it's a very smart thing to do, to have their business already pre-approved by an SBA lender. And we don't usually talk pre-approval, quite honestly, in the commercial lending world, and certainly not in the SBA lending world. But in this case, what we refer to as pre-approving an SBA loan for a business purchase is taking that seller's financial information before they necessarily have a buyer, and saying, based on what we see, yes, that your business's cash flow could accommodate a loan, repayment of a loan of this size. So then that lets that seller, when they sort of go to market and present their business for sale, they're able to say, already SBA approved, but for a qualified buyer. Because now the person wanting to come in and buy it, we just have to look at their personal financial picture, their credit worthiness, because we already know what the business can support. So yes, that very definitely can be done. And it's encouraged.
Now you just dropped a nugget on us tonight. Thank you for whoever asked that question. So you're saying, because we'll sell a business in a minute, you're saying if we wanted to sell a business, we could get it pre-approved for the buyer, letting them know how much the loan would support that business to purchase that business.
Yeah. So So and it's not, so the buyer's not pre-approved, because at the time we're doing this, we don't know who the buyer is. We're saying
Right.
based on the strength of the company, yes, it looks like a loan of this amount can be obtained. So then you say, okay, well, if this amount, well, let's say it's 90% of what the purchase price is, then it tells you, okay, well, up to what purchase price would leave a loan at 90%. What dollar amount is that? That's how you can sort of set those parameters. And then the buyer would just have to be approved and submit their information, at the time they apply. But we've already looked and said the business is eligible, it's met the various eligibility criteria, and it has the cash flow. So yeah.
So listeners, listen. You guys need to make sure y'all stay connected to the green table, because that's one of the things that we talk about, the importance of having a business plan, going ahead and having your exit plan a part of that business plan, and talking about how you can actually gain a stream of income by selling your business. A lot of people I know think that's taboo. But after we had a chance to listen to Magic Johnson talk about that was his business strategy, he buys Starbucks and TGI of Fridays and Burger Kings, and his strategy is to buy them, stabilize them, and sell them in 3 to 5 years. That was his strategy. And he talks about how much money I think he sold back to Starbucks. It was a crazy number. So anyway, thank you, Maria, for that. Can you tell us more about your bank? And we're going to see, can we put your information in the chat so that they can get in contact with you?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm a vice president with First Business Bank, and First Business Bank is a national SBA lender, a preferred SBA lender. So we do SBA loans for businesses all over the country. I did mention 350,000 is our minimum, up to 5 million, but we're able to lend under both the SBA 7A program and the SBA 504 program. And I'm certainly happy to to answer questions or have a conversation with anyone who just is interested in getting information about the program and how it might help their particular business. Because I want to put my money where my mouth is, or practice what I preach when I talk about making sure, for example, that your business plan is addressing your target audience, which is the lender. So then how do you know what a lender wants to see in your business plan unless you talk to a lender and find that out? So I encourage folks to have that sort of dialogue so you can understand the process and what to expect beforehand. And at First Business Bank, we are a business bank. We focus on business, everything related to business, and specifically in the SBA division, we're a team of experts where everyone only does SBA loans. So there's a lot of knowledge, and I frequently have business owners with whom I work, and sometimes in our early conversations come away saying that they've learned so much and they know what to expect. And then I feel like I've done my job, because that's what we want. We want it to be a smooth process. And that's kind of the approach that we take when we're working with a business owner. You'll never, hear from us, oh, just send in your application, and never get to talk to someone. So that's one of the things that First Business Bank prides itself on. And, we practice what we preach.
Awesome. How do you want them to contact you? Is it by email or website? How do you want them to contact you?
Yeah. So if my email is probably the easiest, and we can put my phone number too. Did you say, are you all going to put it in the
Yes, if you say it, we'll type it.
Yeah. Okay. So my email address is mrandall, MRANDALL, at firstbusiness.bank. So mrandall at firstbusiness.bank. And my telephone number is 202 660-0495.
Awesome. I think we have it.
We have it.
Great.
Thank you,
Great.
Maria.
Thank
You
you
have
for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Yes, you have dropped some nuggets. Thank you for joining us on tonight. Now, Jessica, you're going to wrap us up and give us the information for our upcoming event.
Yes, again, we say thank you, Miss Maria. This have been excellent. This is excellent information that we want to bring to our viewers to share with them how they can secure a SBA loan and funds to start and grow their business. So this was just jam on it for our viewers. So thank you again.
Wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Viewers, if you can chime in and just show some love and just tell Miss Maria how beneficial this has been, this information has been, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you all for being patient with us as well in the beginning through our technical difficulties. And so again, we want to wrap up by letting you know how to stay connected and to be at the next Green Table Senior Care Talk Show. We talked about it earlier, but listen, we're going to have a live pop-up in Atlanta at the Gathering Spot, and it's going to be January the 19th at 6 p.m. And we're going to be talking about how you can build real estate, build your real estate portfolio to create generational wealth. And so we're excited about it. We have individuals, we have a real estate broker, we have an individual that buy and sell hotels. You have Ishonda and I that help individuals start your senior care business. We're going to talk about how we took an investment of over 7 figures and turned that into 8 figures using real estate in our business. And so if you're looking to get the 411 on that, to get the T on that, we're going to be dropping some gems for you. That's January the 19th at 6 p.m. in Atlanta at the Gathering Spot. You need to go ahead and secure your spot. We have VIP tickets. We have general admission tickets. We also have virtual tickets. But listen, you want to be in the room, okay? I already talked about your network equals your net worth. So you want to be in the room with individuals, 6-figure and 7-figure business earners. If that's what you're trying to reach to, you need to gleam up. You need to be in the room. And so you can get the gems that will be dropped on the Green Table Live pop-up.
Whitney, can we put that on the screen if possible? If not, I know I'm asking a lot. Listen, guys, actually we have a treat. We want you to know about these tickets. You want to get them tonight because tonight they're $59. It's going to be $99 in the next 30 days. So you're going to actually get a discount on tonight, half off. You can get in the building at the Gathering Spot, live in Atlanta, up close and personal for $59. You want to go ahead and secure your ticket on tonight because that won't last.
All right. Well, you heard it here at the Green Table talk show here tonight. Listen, we're just excited about this platform. We continue to talk about it because we want to share information. We want to share knowledge. We want to share resources. We want to bring experts to the table that will help you in your business.
That's right.
Whether you're starting, whether you are growing your business, we want to help you. So you always want to stay connected to the Green Table Senior Care Talk Show. So no matter if you're not in senior care, we talk about business here. We're business women, and we want to help you in your business. And so, again, this is a platform for minority-owned businesses, aspiring business owners. So whether you're a woman-owned business, whether you are an African-American owned business, Hispanic, a minority owned, if you're a minority, then you need to be on this platform. You need to share this information that we bring here to you. I know it will be valuable for you. You can see on the screen again how to secure your ticket for January the 19th at the gathering spot in Atlanta. You don't want to miss it. Okay, I know how we are. We like to wait to the last minute, but I'm telling you, you want to go ahead and secure your seat. It's limited seating, so go ahead and do that. Where do you get the ticket?
Let's drop it one more time. We're going to drop the link again in the chat. If you can look in the chat, Deborah.
It says claim your seat, but we're going to drop it one more time. Please share it. Please invite a friend, tell a friend. If they're looking to grow their real estate, if they want the know-how, then they need to be in the building.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think that's it.
That's it on tonight.
Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for being patient with us again. Also, listen, October, we do have October the 27th. We will be having another virtual live Green Table Talk show. It's going to be talking about government contracts. Okay, so we like to bring all the tea, right? So listen, I'm telling you all, stay connected. We're going to be bringing you information that you want to know about and that you need to know about in your business. And so we want you to win. If you win, we all win, right? So there's enough out there for all of us. And we know how to secure some OPM, some other people money, so we can win, okay? If that's okay with you all, we say good night. We will see you all. We'll see you all later.
At the next Green Table.
All right. Good night.